Cosgroy percent $10. Richard Hanania posted an article raising the possibility of a Steve Bannon-Groyper alliance to derail Vance. However, why would we be allies with somebody who works closely with Rebecca Mercer through Breitbart and Cambridge Analytica? Bannon is no better than Trump.
Listen, I've never talked to Steve Bannon, okay? So any discussion of a Bannon-Groyper alliance is premature, okay? Bannon retweeted an article about me on Parler a few weeks ago. We agree on some things about Vance, about Israel. That's really where it is right now, okay? So let's everybody just calm down. Why would, first of all, and I love when people say, why would we? Who the fuck is we? Who's we? We, there's no we here, okay? You are not red-pilled. You were not red-pilled until you watch my show. So let's not, we don't need to be making any decisions. Me needs to be making decisions about the political stuff. Now, would a marriage of convenience between us and Bannon to prevent Vance from becoming the nominee, would that be fruitful? Yes. Now, be that as it may, that Bannon and Mercer have worked together in the past, if they're against Vance, good enough for me. Good enough for me. To come together for that limited objective, I'm not closed off to that. But a little premature, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I've never talked to Bannon. I don't know Bannon. I don't know what his opinion is of me. I like a lot of what he's been saying lately. And Hanania is not the only one who said that. But don't give me, you know, why would we? Who's we exactly? I don't know who you are. You're an anonymous person. I don't even know if you're a Groyper. I don't even know if you're a fan of the show. So there will be no we, okay? I am the leader. I am the charismatic leader of this movement. I am the one that called Trump. You are a fucking idiot that probably voted for him. So, you know, you don't be telling me what we're going to do. There's no... you know, if there is something valuable in an alliance like that, then I would consider it. And, you know, that's a conversation for later. But I love all this stuff. People come in, well, we don't need to be, we need to do this, we need to do that. There's no, you are not a strategic thinker. You are not in politics. I don't know who you are. So, anyway.
Francesco sent $100.
And Bannon's no better than Trump. You're wrong. Bannon is way better than Trump in a certain sense. Trump is bringing in 600,000 Chinese students. Trump wants to get us in a war with Iran, with Israel. Bannon has been critical of all of that. So, you know, like I said, I don't know the guy. I don't know if I trust the guy. But let's not start drawing lines. Well, what's the goal? It's only gonna, I'm isolated. And I'll tell you something. The Groyper's tendency to isolate me from everybody, it's becoming a bit of a problem. I need allies. Not you. You are an anonymous person. If this thing doesn't work out, you go and get to live your life. This is my life. The buck stops with me. I'm the one taking the slings and arrow. I'm the one with gunmen showing up at my house. I'm the one that doesn't have a bank account. So as long as I am responsible, I am the leader. And as long as you are anonymous and have no skin in the game and no stake and you are a casual viewer, you don't get a say in that. I, as leader of this movement, need allies. Allies can provide valuable things, some public, some private. Guys like Andrew Tate, guys like Alex Jones, maybe Steve Bannon, who knows? But the Groypers making decisions, I don't know why you talk to this guy. Well, there's a lot you don't know. There's a lot you don't know. I put you onto a lot of this stuff. There's a lot you don't know because you're not privy to these private conversations. So on some level, this is not going to be the lunatics running the asylum here. So, you know, and I appreciate the Groypers going to bat for me. I appreciate the Groypers going out and attacking my enemies. But there is a lot of Groypers trying to box me in and telling me we need to be absolutely flexible. The principles don't change, but the political circumstances do. And this boxing me in, if I let the lunatics run the asylum, I couldn't talk to anybody because you could say anything about anybody. You could say a lot of things about a lot of people. And pretty soon I'd have no allies, I'd have no platforms, I'd have no anything. And all this would ever be is me playing the greatest hits to the biggest fans. And that's not progress. What I want to do is move the ball down the field politically. And that means that we reach a mainstream audience. That means we ally up without making compromises. That means that we, meaning me and my allies, have to become more powerful. Power is the game. We want to get power to do the things that we want to do. Otherwise, you're another jagoff with an opinion. Maybe with a big audience, but you're just another jagoff with an opinion. And I can see this happening. I see it already in the comments section. You start to say things like, we don't want to kill everybody and we don't hate these other people. And people say, you're walking back your opinions. That's literally, I did a show yesterday and said, we need to reassure people that we're not hateful and full of resentment, but we actually want to make society better. And people said, why are you selling out? If that's selling out, you have lost the plot. If the constraints are that every show has to be fire and brimstone, pure resentment, rage, always more extreme, always more insane, always more resentful, you don't want change. You just want to feel validation. You want to feel your resentment to be acknowledged and heard. And part of what I do is for that. But if that is not channeled in a productive and prudent way on a long-term timeline with tangible results, then what the fuck are we doing? Besides stroking our own egos, besides validating our own opinions. I get it. You get it. If you're watching the show, most of you probably agree with me already. I am in the game of empire. I am in the game of building an empire. I'm not satisfied with my large audience of diehard fans. We want the whole country to be on board with us. Yes, the diehards are an important part of the cavalry. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not satisfied with just playing the greatest hits for the most radical 1%. We're trying to move the needle of an entire nation. Don't you understand that? We're trying to move the needle of an entire country. And then once we do that, we're trying to move an aircraft carrier of a power structure. How do we do that? We're going to have to reach a wide variety of people, very intelligent, very elite, very sophisticated, from different backgrounds, not necessarily racial, but from all different walks of life. And it can't always be piss and vinegar. It can't always be raging, veins bulging, and I'm not even that guy. I'm not even doing that for purely tactical reasons. I'm not even that guy. If you're looking for the most psycho, most vengeful, most resentful, one-note lunatics, you know, Blood Tribe is down the hall and to the left. You can go with the psychos and the antisocial freaks. What we're interested in is making the country better. What we're interested in is bringing a coalition together to achieve change within our lifetimes. I'm interested in the art of the possible, not the fantasies of, you know, people that just want to hear their grievances heard. So if all you want to hear is the greatest hits, if all you want to hear is the down with this, down with that, you know, this is a wrong show for you. Some of what we do, we have to talk about the problems. We have to acknowledge where society's gone wrong. We have to analyze it. We have to be brutally honest. And sometimes that's provocative. But to be a leader, for people to look to us to lead the nation, it's a different qualification. People are not just looking for you to tell everybody what's wrong with the country. People want to hear, how are we going to fix it? You know, unfortunately, our movement has become experts in telling everybody what's wrong, but woefully inadequate at telling people what's right and how we fix it, how we can make people's lives better, how we can move forward. And we need to start, believe me, in terms of telling people our grievances, we have exercised that muscle to death. Talk about hypertrophy. That is a path that is well traveled. We got it. We can write essays. We can write dissertations on our complaints and our grievances and our resentment and our feelings and how we're angry and what's wrong with society, we could write the magnum opus on that. Tell me what's right, how we're going to fix it. Atrophied, woefully inadequate. We need to water both sides of it. And we need to do that if we expect people to follow. We want to be leaders. We want people to follow. We don't always want to be on the outside shaking our fist, frothing at the mouth, while the actual serious people control the levers. No, we want to be those people. So we're going to need to give the country a little more than just piss and vinegar and resentment. We're going to need to give them vision. Not just anger, but inspiration. And while you might think, I saw somebody else, somebody on my show said something like, let me pull it up. I got to pull up my channel. I'll read you one of the comments from one of my recent shows. Let's take a look. Somebody commented on the show. They said, let's see, what comment was it? I don't know, but they said something to the extent of like, you know, all these people are fucking scum. Every one of them is fucking scum, or something or other, something like that. And it's like you're not only alienating the diversity with a statement like that. You know, when you think about the normal people in your lives, do you think that, like, when you say things like, you know, all N-words are scum, well, how do you think, forget even about the black thugs. We're not trying to appeal to them. We're talking about our own people that are well-adjusted, that have lives, that are making TikToks. God bless them. They're out having fun. They're shopping. They're eating food. How do you think that plays with them? How do you think they feel about that? We want to lead everybody. We want to lead all. There needs to be a vast coalition of people that are going to support our ascendancy, not just the most riled up section. So, you know, I'm not interested in just being the angry man on television, impotently, you know, yelling and screaming, nothing but resentment. That's not Christian. That's not good. Okay? Yes, Houston, we have a problem. Yes, we've identified who's doing it. You know, I don't have any, if you watch my show, we're not pulling any punches here. No one can accuse me of that. But I am interested in solving it. I am interested in this country moving forward and for things to actually get better in the real world. Not in fantasy land, not people, you know, exhausting themselves, writing projects and things. How do we actually do it? So anyway, we're going to need, don't get me wrong. We're aggrieved. We have legitimate grievance. We have indignation. We are right to have indignation. But we also need to be so excellent. We need to be so good at what we do, so smart, so clever. We have to be the best. We have to shine for the whole country to follow us. It's not enough to be the angriest guy in the room, the guy that's the most sarcastic, the most cynical, the most sardonic. We have to shine. We have to be absolutely above. So the people don't just look at us as the angry guy, the guy that's taking the easy, low-hanging fruit, but the guy that the actual magnificent, magnanimous, benevolent leader that can take our society and make it great. You know, George Washington was not somebody who was filled with resentment. This was a towering figure before he was a general. You know, you want to live up to your ancestors. You want to defend the West. They weren't talk show hosts. They weren't polemicists. You know, some of them did polemics, but they were leaders. They were the greatest among us. We have to focus on becoming the greatest among us, being leaders to shine for the whole country to follow, being inspirational as well, truly leading, not antagonizing, not provoking always, not being the most belligerent, not showing the ugliest side, but to truly rise above. And that doesn't mean being soft. That doesn't mean nothing close to it. Nothing could be further from that. It doesn't mean being soft. It doesn't mean being cowardly. It doesn't mean hiding the truth. I'm very clear about what the problem is. But it means rising above the reaction, rising above the reactive, rising above the resentment, the anger, the emotions we're feeling. To take the helm forcefully, assertively, and show by example, inspiring our own people, leading the way into the future. And maybe that sounds like political talk or something, but there's all the difference in the world between what somebody like Trump did and what some of the people on our side do. What did Trump do? Trump is actually the president. Yes, he sold out. Yes, he took money, et cetera, et cetera. But Trump gave people a vision. It wasn't all, yes, he channeled the grievances. Yes, there was some darkness. But he also spoke about the aspirations of the people, our dreams, our future. He also painted a picture. Let's make America great again. Not what necessarily we're against, but what's the positive vision we want to create? How about we could all rally around greatness? Let's build roads and highways and bridges. Let's put tariffs and we'll have industry in America. This is like a positive vision. People can imagine their lives getting tangibly better. So anyway, that's what I'm interested in. And what was the sentiment that somebody said? Oh, they said about Steve Bannon. So, look, what is really the goal? Because if the goal is to have the best talk show ever, yeah, I could give you the best talk show ever. I could pander to your sensibilities. I could tell you what you want to hear. I could give you the flavor you want. And I know the flavor you want. People tell me some of you tell me my best shows are the angriest, the most racist. And some of you guys tell me my best shows are the most analytical, the most inspirational, the most Christian. I know what's going to be the easy road. But I'm not interested in just the talk show. We actually need to not be isolated. We need to have a wide lens, a long-term vision. We need to be mission-focused and oriented towards how do we bring the whole country together with us to actually do the things we say we want to do. It's possible. We can achieve remigration. We can achieve sovereignty. We can prosecute all the foreign intelligence, all of the interlopers, transnational syndicate running the country. But in order to do that, you need to have a bigger perspective. It's going to take something special.
All right, we're finishing up that segment. I could not interrupt. Bro is different. I'm just getting tapped in with Nick Fuentes over this last week. Bro is different. He just gave a speech that if any presidential candidate in my lifetime gave, he would have a lot of people backing him. Think about it, how that conversation started, where it was a question about Steve Bannon and somebody saying we, right? We get caught up in that mob mentality so much, where you start to amp people up. And when you amp people up, a lot of times that gets them more amped up than you, and you keep feeding off each other. And he put the brakes on that. He said, first off, it's not a we thing. It's me. I'm the one that has no bank account. I'm the one that's risking all this. So I have to be smart enough to do what makes sense based on my goals, not by you being entertained by me doing a live show. Keep the main thing the main thing. What did he say? Mission driven. The level of maturity. The level of maturity is next level. I'm just telling y'all exactly the feelings that I was feeling when he was saying these things. A benevolent leader. Benevolent. I focused on that word when it comes to leadership. The first time I heard it was Anton Daniels. Shout out to Anton saying it. And I had to look it up in the dictionary. I actually just looked it up again. Benevolent. Well-meaning and kindly. Serving a charitable rather than a profit-making purpose. This is purpose-driven. The things that he's focusing on when he says it's not about just making the angriest show or feeding into the things that people like and are entertained by, it has to be taken further than that. He can't just isolate himself like a lot of the people that follow us, right? When we have certain movements, a lot of the people that follow our movements, a lot of times protect the movement and lose sight of the overall goal. They protect it to the point where not only do they feel like it's theirs, but beyond that, they start making enemies for you and isolating you from people that can actually help you reach the goals that y'all initially started doing it in the first place for. He needs allies. Now, he said something very key when he said, we need allies, but we can't compromise. See, that's something different than we see typically right now. What do we see right now? We see a lot of people with allies, but people have been compromising. These are a lot of the complaints that we have with Trump. He's clearly compromised. And not only did, like, Nick Fuentes acknowledge that, but he still circled back to embrace the fact that when Trump said, make America great again, can we focus on the vision? Can we focus on us embracing greatness, us embracing making the country better? He incorporated diversity into it. He said it's not necessarily about race, but coming from different walks of life. Well, we've heard him say plenty of times before, he's not isolating based on race or anything else like that. He wants to work with good people. Whoever is getting ready to run, who is not going to run on a clear purpose to make the country better, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble if they run against him whenever he's eligible to run. I guess 2 elections from now, or maybe 3. I think he's getting ready to turn 28 or 29, whatever. All right, I'll see y'all in the next video.